Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Edens, a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher, and I'm so happy you've decided to join me today. We're talking about something really important that you may catch yourself either saying or thinking to yourself, and that's the saying, I'm bad with money. Now, it might be something that you have believed about yourself for a long time, and you just sort of um, have found yourself saying to other people, oh, I'm so bad with money. Or you may be thinking to yourself, I'm bad with money, and feeling really kind of depressed about your financial skills and your ability to manage your money and your income that's coming in. And so that is a little phrase, though, that can be very damaging and hurtful, especially if someone else has said this to you in the past. Have you ever had someone say this to you, whether it's, you know, whoever it might have been, but did someone ever say something like that of, oh, you're so bad with money? Um, and have someone unkindly and even cruelly accuse you of something like that. And so it's something really, really important to really take a look at and get rid of and detox our narrative around money of this toxic phrase, I'm bad with money. Because while it might be true that you don't have the skills that you would like to have right now, and you might have made some mistakes in the past, just labeling yourself as someone who's bad with money, or on the other hand, allowing someone else to label you as bad with money or irresponsible with money is just so damaging and so toxic. So let's break that right now and take these 5 steps to really detox that whole concept from our personal money narrative. The number one thing that we need to look at as we get rid of this saying from our personal money narrative is, what does being bad with money even mean? It could be that, like I said, maybe you just haven't learned financial skills. It's something that we're not taught in school, unfortunately. We should be, but we're often not. And so, very often, what are we supposed to do? Learn how to manage money, which is extremely complex, and there's so many different things that go into it. Learn how to manage money with never being taught. Would you ever go try to drive a car having never taken a single driving lesson? No, it'd be illegal. You'd get pulled over and fined and all kinds of penalties for not going through the proper steps to drive a car. So why is it that we're expected to pick up financial skills through osmosis, through maybe observing our parents or adult role models, or just figuring it out, looking it up on Google, looking it up on YouTube? I mean, fortunately, there are so many more resources now than there used to be, widely available now in terms of learning how to manage your money and grow your wealth and work on your wealth mindset. But maybe you just never learned. So are you really bad just because you've never learned? Somebody could say, oh, well, I'm a really bad driver. It's like, well, did you never take a driving test? Because everyone's a bad driver until they take driving tests and driving lessons and pass the tests and all of this and years of practice and so forth. So, it's like one of these things that we really have to look at and say, what does being bad with money even mean? What do you even mean when you're telling yourself that? What does someone else mean when they're unkindly telling you that, kind of slapping that label on you as someone who's bad with money? And so really, really important to really stop and identify, what does that mean? Does it mean you're like lacking the skill sets? Is it just that someone else doesn't like the way you manage money and they're cruelly labeling you in a way to try to control you or hurt you? Is it that you feel like your skill sets could be better? Is that you have made a lot of financial mistakes in the past, so you feel like you're bad with money because you can point to all these mistakes you made in the past? So really think that through, because I think it's really important before we label ourselves or allow other people to label us as a certain thing, to really stop and think, well, what does that label even mean? And is it something I'm going to apply to myself or allow anyone else, for that matter, to apply to me, without even really getting clear on what it means? Is that something I want as part of my identity? Is that something I want as part of my money narrative? So that's the first thing, is get really clear on what does being bad with money even really mean. The second thing is to replace it with a new statement. This is really important. So we need to replace "I'm bad with money" with a new statement that is constructive, that is helpful, that is encouraging and positive. And for the love of God, do not let anyone continue to label you as bad with money under any circumstances going forward, because it is completely unfair of people to, be using that label and that term for you. So for yourself, you want to start building new statements. So you could try some things like "every mistake is a learning opportunity." I can use what I've learned to make better financial choices in the future. That's a really important and good one to think through. You could also say "I'm getting better with my money management skills every day. I continue to learn new things and use what I learn to make the best choices I can going forward." You can also focus on making a real identity shift. And my favorite book on building a new identity through building new habits is James Clear's Atomic Habits. You've heard me talk about this book many times on my channel before. I'll link to it in the description. Wonderful book. If you haven't read James Clear's Atomic Habits, go order a copy for yourself right now and read it, because it's just a wonderful, wonderful resource for you, not just in working on your finance habits and your money management habits, but any other area that you might be struggling in right now and might be causing you a lot of grief, whether that's health, relationships, anything else, something professionally and work related, anything else you can possibly think of that you want to build better habits. James Clear's Atomic Habits is the book for you. You will really enjoy it. And so you might even start to think about yourself, rather than thinking about yourself as someone who's bad with money. Start to think of yourself as someone who's great with money. You might start saying affirmations to yourself like, "I'm great with money. I have wonderful financial management skills. I am really confident when it comes to managing my money. And when I have questions, I do research or I hire a professional to help me, figure out something really complex, like say investing or something along those lines, or retirement planning, college planning. I hire professionals to help me out in those areas, or do research online, read books. But I'm someone who's really confident when it comes to money and comfortable with managing my own money, regardless of the mistakes that I might have made in the past." So that's another thing that you can really do, is start to really make that identity shift and then start to really implement those good habits going forward that build that new identity for you. Because one thing that's really stood out to me about reading James Clear's Atomic Habits is how important it is for us to, if we want to make a change, to start thinking of ourselves as the person we want to become in that area. He uses a really great analogy of someone who's trying to stop smoking. And let's say someone offers them a cigarette, and rather than saying, "Oh, I'm trying to give up smoking," they say, even if they're still smoking, they say, "Oh, I'm not a smoker." And you see that subtle but very important difference between "I'm giving up smoking" versus "I'm not a smoker." And so in any area that you can think of where you need to work on something, it's really a good thing to start identifying, even if you're not where you want to be right now. Start taking on that identity. It's kind of like, putting on a new suit jacket or a new superhero cape, or just a new outfit, and trying that on for size and saying, "I'm someone who's confident with money. I'm someone who has good healthy habits. I'm someone who doesn't smoke. I'm someone who has great relationships." And any area you can think of, that book is going to be very powerful for you and help you move forward. So really think about that as saying, "I'm someone who's confident with money." And think about that. You might even, while you're saying those affirmations, work on your posture, put your shoulders up and back, and, hold your head up high and say, "Hey, I'm someone who's good with money." And, you don't necessarily need to go around saying this to other people, because other people are not going to get why you're doing this. But to really begin to affirm to yourself the changes that you're making in your life, this will go a long way towards being able to unlock your inner millionaire. I promise you. And what I like to do is I'll put affirmations that I'm working on sticky notes and put them up somewhere where I'll see them frequently, like on the bathroom mirror, kitchen cabinets, anywhere that I spend a lot of time where I'm just kind of getting things done and I'm glancing at it. And I'll start repeating that to myself, either out loud or just kind of talking it through in my head. And that affirmation work, you can work it into your meditation practice, you can work it into your journaling practice, whatever part of your day that works into best for you. But that's going to be really, really helpful for you, and maybe come up with some of your own kind of money mantras around confidence around money that you can repeat to yourself as well. Number 3 is start developing a growth mindset. So here on my channel, we talk a lot about wealth mindset, which is all about unlocking your inner millionaire and experiencing the abundance that you want to in your life by really being able to tap into the unlimited resources and potential that there is out there for you. Growth mindset is really, really fascinating because growth mindset is basically something that was coined by Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck. She's written a really popular book called Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. So definitely go pick up a copy of this as well. I'll link to this in the description so that you can grab a copy. If you haven't read Mindset by Carol Dweck, you are missing out. So pick this book up because she really talks about as well about how to get your mindset on board with trying challenging new things. Because she basically teaches in her work on growth mindset that it's the ability to believe that you can learn new things and that you can learn new skills and you can accomplish new things, and you're not stuck with whatever you might have been, the circumstances you were born into, or the particular set of skills and abilities that you have, or the socioeconomic class that you were born into, or whatever that might look like for you. Having a mindset of no matter where you're starting from, that you can learn new skills, you can try new things, you can invest in yourself and continue to grow. And that with that growth mindset, then you're more comfortable making mistakes. You're more comfortable taking risk. You're more comfortable failing, because when you make a mistake or fail or something doesn't work out the way you had in mind, with a growth mindset on board, rather than saying, oh, well, that's a sign, I tried this thing, it didn't work. That's a sign that it's just not for me. I mean, how many times have you done that to yourself and had that kind of experience? That's what's called a fixed mindset, where it's a belief that whatever skill set you're born with, wherever you start in life, that's just kind of where you're stuck, and you might be able to level up a little bit, but beyond that, you're kind of just stuck with what, destiny has in store for you that way. And so instead of that, then you're able to have that growth mindset and say, hey, a failure doesn't mean it's a sign that something isn't meant to be. A failure just means that I have something new that I need to learn, or maybe I missed a step in the process and I need to go back and try it again, or maybe I need to shift gears a little bit. Maybe I need to reach out for help. Maybe I need to take a class or read a book. And so when you are in that space where you're not so afraid of making mistakes, you're not so afraid of taking risks, it just opens up this enormous world of potential for you in every aspect of your life. So that's not just money, that's every aspect of your life. So definitely do yourself a favor, pick up Carol Dweck's book. Wonderful, wonderful book. She goes into so many helpful things in this book about all the things you can do to really begin to develop that growth mindset and really kind of break out of whatever situation you're in. You might be somewhere where you're feeling kind of stuck or kind of trapped, and where you feel like your life isn't going the way you want it to go. Things haven't turned out the way you wanted them to turn out. And so that's the book I can recommend absolutely the most if you're just needing a place to kind of change gears. That and Atomic Habits, two of my absolute favorite books on kind of the psychology of why we do what we do, how our brains can sabotage us with our thought processes, and how to work around that so that you are your own best advocate and that you can start to really unlock your potential in every aspect of your life. And then number 4, I suppose we only have 4 points. I was saying we had 5 points, we've got 4. So number 4 is to be kind to yourself. So practicing forgiveness for yourself can be one of the most difficult things to do on planet Earth. I think a lot of us, especially women, we're much better at being, forgiving and kind to other people around us and overlooking other people's quirks and foibles than we are of overlooking our own. And so it's really important to just be able to not beat yourself up if you've made a financial mistake in the past, or if you really have done some things that you look back at and say, hey, at that point in time when I was making those decisions, I wasn't, where I am today. I didn't have the skills that I have financially today. And so I'd make different decisions if I had to go back and do it all over again. But now I've got these other skill sets around money management and my money mindset. And so moving forward, I'm going to make better decisions. And so that's a really important thing to keep in mind as well is just be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up over things that you did in the past that you look back at and say, oh my gosh, I lost so much money on that deal that went south, or so much money on that investment, or, that career move didn't work out the way I was planning to, or that job didn't pay off very well. It's really important not to fixate on that, and also just to be kind to yourself and say, hey, if I'd had the skill sets I have today about money management, finance skills, and wealth mindset, I'd make a completely different decision than I did, in that circumstance. So just remember that in the moment, you probably didn't have the skill sets that you have today. And so you would have done things differently. Sure, you probably would have had a different outcome, but just going forward, to be able to learn from your mistakes, because our mistakes can be our best teachers. There's a wonderful quote from Ray Dalio, who is the author of Principles, which I'll also link to in the description, another fabulous book. But Ray Dalio once said, pain plus progress, or pain plus reflection equals progress. So you have a painful experience, you make a painful mistake that might be expensive, or it might be embarrassing, or, maybe both. And then you are able to reflect on that, though, maybe not in the moment, but down the road, you're able to reflect on that and say, oh, okay, that didn't go so well. What were the things that I would have done differently? And then be able to kind of reflect on that mistake. And then when you put those things together, then you're starting to get progress, because you're starting to learn from your mistakes and starting to see what you need to do differently next time, or what area you need to grow in, or what area you need to learn some new skills in, or what have you. So I really like that. Pain plus reflection equals progress, and looking at our mistakes not as something that's reflecting badly on us, or, shows that we're, not very good at life or whatever. Like, look, we all make mistakes all the time. Some of them are more spectacular than others, right? Some of those mistakes might be more expensive than others, and we might have suffered a bigger financial setback in some of those situations than others. But if you can be forgiving of yourself and learn from your mistakes at the same time, you are going to go far. Trust me, because those are the ingredients for really being successful in all aspects of your life, not just in your personal finances. Thank you so much for joining me for this video today. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter if you want to get a quick synopsis of everything that was in this video today. My newsletters come out now on Tuesdays and Fridays. And they just have like the really quick condensed version of this video if you're in a rush and just want to have a way to really have these points kind of condensed for you to refer back to, save them, read them later. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your comments and for liking this video if you enjoyed it, giving it a big thumbs up, and for subscribing to my channel. And I will see you again soon in my next video.